I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
So what are you drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is a cider that we got especially from a trip that we just took to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This is Straw About That Basil. It's from oh God, I can't even speak right now. Millbridge Winery in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We don't know the alcohol content because this is just a filled growler here. And there's nothing online from them, like at all. If you go to their website, it's just about their wine tours that they do with other wineries and cideries up there. So let's just go to the personal section. This cider is very sweet at the beginning, and then there is some basil on the back to really balance it out. It's so good. We loved this when we went up there. Really nice, relaxing little area on their back patio to sit and drink wine or cider. And we did that a couple of times while we were there just to stay away from the crowds. I gave this a 10 out of 10, Leah. It's really good.
Yeah, also give it a 10 out of 10. And the best thing that they have there... They have wine and cider slushies.
Yes,
so they have a rotating list of, whatever they carry. But I had the spiced apple cider slushy that is very alcoholic and so delicious. It'll fuck you up because you'll drink it too fast. I think Mitch had the pomegranate
it was so
slushy.
good. Oh, it was so good.
It had blueberry in it, so I couldn't really drink it. But, yeah, I just highly recommended. It's right there in the old mill section of Pigeon Forge. Mm-hmm. Kind of wouldn't notice it, but it's right there on the river.
It's in a very nondescript building.
Yeah, you wouldn't really notice it unless you were looking for it, but it's got a beautiful patio right over the river where you can sit. It's not crowded at all, and this is the most crowded time of year, most crowded I've ever seen that area. And you could just sit out there by yourself and watch the water and the ducks, and it was lovely. So
which we did a couple of times.
Which we did multiple times. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I've actually been to a couple of the wineries on that wine trail, and the ones that I've been to are all really nice. So
okay, well maybe we'll do that at some point. And we will have a wine coming from this place as well very soon in an upcoming episode. So look forward to that, everybody. Woo. Speaking of Gatlinburg, we bought a shitload of moonshine, all of it from Sugarlands this time. So the one on this episode is Root Beer Moonshine, produced and bottled by Sugarlands Distilling Company, LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, 35% alcohol by volume. And let's read the online description, Leah, because we actually have something to do here.
Yay!
You ready? Here we go. Our root beer moonshine is simple, almost bubbly, and has the perfect touch of sweetness. The mellow mix of sassafras root, vanilla, and wintergreen make this offering a timeless classic. Root beer moonshine brings a hint of nostalgia as it is reminiscent of the root beer candies we all ate as children. It also has a really nice blend of a high-proof spirit and tons of flavor. That's it. That was exclamation point at the end.
I get it.
Okay. All right, well... all I have to say is this tastes exactly like a root beer. Yeah. There's nothing crazy about it. It's just really good if you like root beer. I know a lot of people don't. They say it tastes like cough medicine. I don't get that. I understand where that comes from, but I fucking love root beer. And it tastes just like root beer. It's really, really, really good. That being said, I've only had it on ice. I have not mixed it with anything. I didn't look up anything to mix it with. So it's got a 9 out of 10 on ice, so a 9 out of 10 overall. Really good. That's it, Leah. That's all of the alcohols.
Huzzah!
Yay! So before we get into anything, we should say, if you don't follow us on social media, the reason we've been gone for 3 weeks
It's 2 weeks.
Well, whatever. We have both had COVID, probably acquired when we went to Gatlinburg, most recently.
I honestly think you got it from your office, but
I doubt it.
It could have also been previous to going there. It could have been there. It could have been anywhere. We tried to social distance as much as possible, and we wore our masks everywhere, and yeah. Well,
let's just get into our COVID chronicles real quick. So what happened was we were in Gatlinburg 1 week from Saturday to Wednesday recently. We got back on Wednesday. I went to work on Thursday. And Friday, I woke up with a cough and nothing much else, really. I had a little bit of a fever throughout the day, got up to like 100 one time, and that was it. And then I went back to work on Monday, coughed all weekend, and at lunch on Monday, I went, I can't really taste this. But I ate breakfast, and I tasted everything. But that Monday lunch, I had gotten a Greek wrap from Publix, and if anybody doesn't know, that's a veggie wrap that has avocado, feta cheese, tangy sub sauce, and I got like banana peppers on it. I didn't really taste that, and that's a very tangy lunch. And I said, I think I need to go get a COVID test. So in the morning, I went and did that, and came back positive on Tuesday morning. And that's where we've been since then. Been kind of in and out. Both of us have had it, and both of us have been in and out feeling okay, but not great.
Yeah, so after Mitch tested positive, I went the next day, and, I had to wait 2 days to get an appointment. So I went and I got an appointment, and I tested negative for COVID, but I tested positive for the flu. Mm-hmm. So I had the flu symptoms, I had the body aches, I had just all of the flu. I had that.
Let's leave it at that. All of the flu.
I had the flu.
Speaking of, I have one funny thing to say, but go ahead.
But then on Sunday, I noticed that I can't smell a goddamn thing. Like, I was sniffing things obsessively.
Yeah.
I couldn't
this
smell.
Past Sunday.
Yeah,
right.
This past Sunday. I couldn't smell acetone. Like, I was taking off my nail polish. I couldn't smell acetone. I couldn't smell like peppermint oil, like any of the strong scents in our house. I couldn't smell a damn thing. I was sniffing every candle that we had. The face lotion that I have that smells like roses, nothing. Couldn't smell anything. And I was like, well, shit. So the next day I had to go get a rapid test, and I not only had the flu, I also on top of that got to experience COVID. So for a few days my body was, we can't smell, and we have such deep body aches that I'm not sure we're ever going to move. But it cleared up eventually. I felt like shit, but I still can't smell anything, but I'm feeling better.
Leah had it much worse than I did. The biggest problem with me was that I could not smell or taste for almost a whole week. I'm just now getting taste back. I can taste the things that I've reviewed here tonight, but not enough to where I feel comfortable with the scores I gave everything. But I remember how these taste. So.
See, and I never lost my sense of taste. I can taste things pretty decently, but it's the smell. I literally cannot smell anything. And I think today I'm starting to get the very, if I stick my nose right in it and inhale real hard and it's a real strong scent.
It's really funny to watch. She's been doing it for days. She's going around holding Biofreeze up to her nose. Sniffing. And she's been doing it for days.
Yeah, I have. But today is the first day that I smelled anything. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's still almost non-existent, but it's there. So hopefully, and tomorrow will be a week of positive for me. So the day that this comes out. So I'm really hoping, fingers fucking crossed, that my smell is going to come back, because I didn't know how much I like sniffing things until I could no longer creepy. Sniff things.
It's real creepy what you're doing around this house. But mine, let me tell you, I've said on this show before, we were talking about how, I don't know how I got onto it, but I was explaining that I have a theory about why I'm such a fat ass. And it's because I believe I'm addicted to taste. When I eat something that tastes good, I keep eating it because I like the feeling, the taste of that food, even when I'm full. I now know that my theory is absolutely correct, because when I couldn't taste anything for a week, I would eat whatever there was in front of me, and just until I was done satiating myself. I lost 15 pounds. I really did. And it's all coming back now because I can taste everything. But the best thing that happened to me during COVID, I had body aches too. And y'all, when they tell you about the COVID poos, that's a very real thing.
It is so real.
It's a real thing. It's not so much that it is constant. At least for me, this is what it was. It wasn't constant, but it was every time for the last 2 weeks that I've had to shit, there's been no buildup. It is, we're shitting now, go. And it's not like I said, it's not an all day thing. It's just like my normal once or twice a day, but it's it's coming right now, go. And I'm all right, I'm going, fuck. And that, again, if you're not in the community chat, I said this to everyone there. I woke myself up with a shart at 2:30 in the morning. And I have no problem talking about it because it's one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me. Y'all, nothing will make you get out of bed faster than the sensation of shitting yourself in the middle of sleeping. Because it's like, oh, this is happening. And it woke me up. Yeah, I'm still coughing too. Leah's coughing a little bit, but I'm still coughing, so I'm probably going to cough throughout this whole thing. Just FYI. But, excuse me. But, yeah, we've been very lucky. We just had basically flu symptoms, and mine wasn't even that bad. Leah's was much worse than mine. But I just couldn't smell or taste, period, for almost an entire week.
Yeah, my symptoms were worse, but your cough has been lingering. And
it's not leaving, so.
Mine's not. My cough was never as bad as your cough, but I just had the flu and the coronavirus at the same time, so it really fucked me up. But, you know, what was really funny, though, was I had an appointment with my therapist sometime this week. I don't remember, but I was talking to her. She's like, so how are you doing? Just normal, catch up, because I only talk to her maybe every 3 weeks or so. And it's over the phone right now because obviously. And so she's like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And I was like...
Leah's on the toilet, COVID.
No, I was not. I was like, yeah, so I got the flu and COVID. And she was like, if someone was to sit down and say one of your patients got flu and COVID at the same time, which one do you think it was? She was like, I would peg you as being the person every single time.
Tell her she can peg me too, but once the COVID poops leave.
Gross. But she was like, yeah, if anybody's gonna get both of those things at the same time, it's gonna be you. It just is. So
yeah.
Yay.
I agree. If anybody was going to get both of them, like the second I tested positive, I was like, Leah, you've definitely got it. She goes and gets positive for the flu, and I'm like, well, shit, it's going to be real bad in about 2 days. And
it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our COVID story.
Yeah.
Yay.
We've just been not to the point of recording for 2-3 weeks. So
yeah, so we super apologize for the gap in coverage, but thank you for holding the fort down while we were
oh, you're welcome.
Not doing great.
Yeah. But really, it was last weekend we maybe could have recorded. Leah still wasn't feeling good, but just maybe. And I was like, I can't taste a damn thing to review something. So, then it's just you telling stories, and nobody likes that.
I could have probably gotten through it, but if anybody's following me on my YouTube channel, I did manage to get a YouTube video out, and that was strictly because DayQuil is just...
Bay.
Yeah, it's Bay. And so I had that, and just, I look like the most tired fucking human being on the face of the planet in that most recent video. But, it's fine. I got it out. I'm still adorable. So yeah. I agree. If anybody is interested in my YouTube channel, go check that out.
Yeah, do that. Craftpocalypse. Y'all. But yeah, that's those are the COVID Chronicles.
Woo!
The Southern Spirits COVID Chronicles.
Isn't that like a Christmas movie or something?
Yeah, I think it is going to be one. We could 100% we could sell it to Netflix. Jesus, they'll do anything. That's one thing we've done over this 2 weeks is watch way too many terrible Netflix Christmas movies. Y'all, the Dolly Parton one is so fucking bad. It is so terrible. But
in a way that just makes me want to watch it again.
No, absolutely not. You can watch that by yourself. That was so bad.
It's like someone decided that the person that writes their own community theater musicals needed a budget, but not enough of a budget to where it was good, but they gave them just enough budget to make a movie out of it, and the choreography is awful. Yeah. The singing is awful, except for Dolly. Dolly's queen. But Dolly Parton is a magical hobo angel.
Yeah.
And she floats on a CGI cloud. I don't know. Times. It's weird. It's just weird.
That just comes out of her ass, too. Like
it
just
does.
floats
There's
out.
it's sparkly. I don't know.
But
it's
the
fucking
lead
weird.
male actor in that movie, like I think every other person turned down that role
Yeah.
because he is so robotic.
Yeah,
and
he
bad.
was not a good actor.
He was so. Didn't you say he was like a dancer in the Thanksgiving parade recently, like a year or two ago?
Well, I mean, he was, but only because he was on Broadway. He's a Broadway actor.
He's a Broadway actor, right? Well, I don't think that he gets much other roles on Broadway besides like background dancing because
no,
he was fucking
he
awful.
like originated like a prominent role. I don't remember what it was.
Okay, well, he was fucking awful in this.
Yeah,
Dolly
he was
Parton
just
movie.
terrible in that
Oh my
one
God.
thing. Which I don't blame him because
I do. Fucking do your work. Shit. Anyway, it was awful.
the only person that was committing was Christine Baranski, and she really committed because she's that person.
She is also bae,
huh?
just like DayQuil.
Yeah,
Christine Baranski equals DayQuil.
I agree. Anyway, it was a fever dream, and maybe it was because I was actually running a fever when we watched it, but
No, we actually did not watch it, Leah. I just, you laid there in a fever dream, and I kind of said, there's a bad lead actor, and Dolly Parton farts a cloud and sings a little bit. Christine Baranski has a brain tumor, but she doesn't really have a brain tumor. And you find that out way too early in the movie.
and she keeps running over her doctor with her
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. See, I made up all this. I'm a real good writer. That's why Netflix pays me the big bucks.
Anyway, can we get started? It's Sassy Southern saying time.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, our phrase of the evening is, "Why, it's hotter than a goat's ass in a pepper patch."
Oh, no. Is that because goats will eat anything?
Yeah, it is.
So goats just eat the peppers and then have the shits?
Yeah, if a goat gets into like a pepper patch or a garden of any sort, it's going to eat everything.
Really?
And like regardless of whether it's a good for you kind of decision, and the butthole is spicy, so it's just hot.
So goats get in the pepper patch and have COVID poos. That's what it sounds like.
Spicy COVID poos.
Yeah. They were all spicy. I couldn't taste it going down. That was the weirdest thing about eating, because I ate something spicy and I didn't taste a thing of it, but I could feel it down my throat, how hot it was, and that was uncomfortable. That was real uncomfortable. All right, well, thank you for the goat thing. So, it's hotter than a goat with diarrhea, is what I heard.
Next time it gets up to like 90, you're just going to turn to me one day and just, damn, it's hot as a goat with diarrhea.
Ooh,
and I'm not going to have any idea what you're saying.
It's diarrhea goat hot out here, Leah. It's goat runs hot. I don't have anything else. I'm way off my game.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
Fuck
weird when you haven't recorded in 2 weeks and you're
Yeah.
expected to just perform, man. It's
Yeah,
hard.
fuck y'all with all your expectations and shit.
If
Lee, how
you
do
wanted this to
open
be a good
bottle?
show, I'm sorry.
How do you open this bottle back up?
You push the sides.
Push the sides.
No, not in, out. You like
Oh.
pull the latch.
Okay, y'all. We're not going to worry about this. I'm trying to reopen the cider bottle, and I have no fucking
If you want to
idea
pause
how
the
to do it.
recording and pass me the bottle, I can do it.
Yeah, let's do that. Be right back, everybody. Well, that's the coolest little thing I've ever seen. You just pop it off. Leah's got real strong thumbs, y'all.
It's true.
She's got strong thumbs. I'm going to drink all this cider tonight. There's not much of it, though. We only got 32 ounces. But, you know, it's... oh, shit. I'm banging stuff. All right, Leah, hit us up with the first story, please.
All right. Well, we're going to go to Beaufort, North Carolina.
All right.
And we are going to be talking about the Keg Girl grave.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like an internet thing.
It's not, but
Like Tub Girl. Did you ever see Tub Girl?
what's Tub Girl?
Don't ask, Leah. It's really bad. There are people out there right now going, "Oh no, not Tub Girl." I'll show you later. You're
What
going to be
does she
very
do?
upset with me. The goat thing we just talked about.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
I don't want to
I'm
know.
going to show you Tub Girl.
Did she poo in the tub?
Leah, I'm going to show you Tub Girl.
I don't want to know about Tub Girl.
I'll show you later.
No, we're talking about Keg Girl, which is not the same thing.
It sounds like the same thing.
Okay.
I think Tub Girl was originally Keg Girl, and that's why she's now
I
Tub
really
Girl.
think you're going to be sad that you said all of that once I tell you what Keg Girl is.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we're going to be talking about a cemetery in Beaufort that is called the Old Burying Grounds, which, cool. The graves are dated all the way back to 1711. So there's also an older section of the graveyard that has a lot of unmarked graves, so it's kind of hard to tell how old exactly. But, the earliest marked graves there are from 1711. It's a really pretty old, trees, live oaks, moss, the whole old cemetery that I love to walk through kind of vibe going on.
Leah, I've found Tub Girl. Let me show you.
How about you don't show me?
It's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Mitchell, I don't... Oh my God.
Okay. There it is. All right, we're done. I just wanted to show you. It was an early viral thing. That's enough. All right, y'all. We will see y'all next week. I'm going to go cough for a while. Leah's going to vomit. Do not look up Tub Girl. I swear. If you don't know what it is.
I don't... Why the fuck did you just bring that up?
I got to thinking about it. I hadn't seen it in like 15 years, probably.
I'm so goddamn scarred.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Ew. Just ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Ew.
Leah especially.
Ew.
We continue drinking this cider.
I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to forget that image, and I'm really upset about it. Oh, okay. Anyway. How am I supposed to talk about cemeteries now?
Well, you could talk about Keg Girl that became Tub Girl.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, old, beautiful graveyards. What you think of an old graveyard, it's what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Interesting.
But there are a few odd graves in this particular cemetery, generally because they are very old. And one of them I thought was really fun was there's a British naval captain that is buried standing up in salute to King George III.
Oh, no.
That's fun. At least the marker says that he is, whether he is actually, buried that way, or if they just, chucked him in and was like, yeah, he's standing upright. It's fine.
He's in there.
Who knows? But the one that we're going to be talking about today is a marker that says something on it that I'm about to ask you a question about. So, shot in the dark.
Okay, well, the tablet's dead, so... We do not have sound effects. Leah, go ahead. Okay.
So, shot in the dark. The grave marker states that the little girl was buried in a keg of blank. What was it a keg of?
Oh, diarrhea.
Was she buried in a keg of A, gin, B, rum, or C, whiskey?
Oh, whiskey. Without a doubt, whiskey.
Incorrect.
Damn. It was diarrhea, wasn't it?
It was rum.
Oh. All right.
She was buried in rum. So the gravestone says, it's actually kind of a wooden carved plaque thing. But anyway, the grave marker is engraved, little girl buried in keg of rum. So this is the story as to how the little girl ended up being buried in a keg of rum in the first place.
Disrespectful.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So this begins mid 1700s ish, so we're looking 1730s, I would say. So there's a family called the Slow family, but it's spelled Sloo, but it's pronounced Slow. And they were from England originally, and they moved to North Carolina. It was a colony at the time, of course. And they brought their infant daughter with them. And Mr. Slow was a merchant captain, and he made his living, importing English goods and selling them throughout the colonies. And they were pretty prosperous. They did a good trade, a great business. They built a beautiful house, and it actually is still there in Beaufort. Just made a name for themselves, had a good business. But unfortunately, the wife of Mr. Slow really missed England, loved England, had a great time in England, was always telling their daughter, who, was an infant when they crossed, how much she loved England and would like to go back and how beautiful it was and all of that. So the little girl grew up with stories of London, and she wanted to see it really bad. And so she would always pester her father, who would sail back occasionally, to, get new business deals and ventures and whatever off the ground. But he would always return and, continue on. Well, the little girl eventually was like, "Look, Daddy, I want to go to England real bad." And the dad was like, "I don't think that's a good idea because you're a child and it takes like 3 months and it's the 1700s and you're gonna die."
He said, "You're gonna come back in a rum keg. You go, you're coming back in a rum keg."
So the little girl was like, "But Daddy, please, I want to go see England." And eventually the mom was like, "Look, dude, you're gonna take this little kid to England, okay? She's annoying the piss out of me. Take her to England." And so the dad eventually was like, "Okay, no problem. We're gonna go to England. It's gonna be okay. She's gonna be safe." So the only thing that the mom said was, "Just bring the girl back. For the love of God, bring the girl back," right?
Yep. I don't care if you bring her back alive or in a keg of rum. Bring her back.
So the father did, in fact, take her to England. They made it without a problem. And he showed her all of London, all that England had to offer. They spent a couple of months there, having a great time, just having a great, wonderful exploration, meeting family that she had never, actually met because she was an infant when she went to the colony. She just had a grand old time in London and was super excited. But it was time to go back home. And unfortunately, on the return voyage is where everything kind of hit the fan. So they had only been out of port about a week when the little girl got sick, and there was really nothing that they could do for her on board. And then they were in the middle of the ocean, so there was nowhere they could dock to get her assistance. And unfortunately, she died from the illness. And it is generally custom, it was then, to bury someone at sea if they died on board the ship to avoid contaminate. If it was a contagion, to keep it from passing off, to other people.
Right.
So they were going to, bury her at sea, but the father was so upset at that thought and couldn't bear the thought of not bringing his daughter home to his wife like he promised, that he was like, "Yeah, we gotta find a way to preserve her and keep her body, safe from other people and all that stuff." So they were like, "What can we do? We have a bunch of rum on board," because I'm sure they were importing it. And so they were like, "Okay, we're gonna do that." So they chunk her in a barrel of rum, a keg of rum, and they hammer the lid back on, and she was, transported that way in a full barrel of rum. And so when he returned home to his wife, he told her the news, which was probably obviously very heartbreaking. And they didn't really want to disturb her body any further because it had been pickling in this rum for months in a hot, unair-conditioned ship. So I'm sure it was kind of gross. So they decided not to open it, not to drain it, not to do anything. They just dug a hole and they buried the full barrel of rum as her casket. So they buried her there. They had the grave right now has sort of a kind of a concrete-ish, some kind of stone-like slab over the top of it, and then, like I said, it had an original carved wooden monument marker kind of thing. And it's just known as the grave of the rum girl, and a lot of people bring all sorts of toys and flowers and knickknacks and shit, and they leave it all over the top of this child's grave. And all of the pictures that you'll see online, the grave is just covered in stuff that people have left for her. And, of course, they also believe that the little girl haunts the cemetery, that she, was buried in her keg of rum, and she runs around the graveyard, as a spirit. And a lot of people claim that they see a young girl playing in between the gravestones there on certain nights, and that the toys and things that are left there at the graveyard for the little girl are often moved around at night. They're found balancing on top of other gravestones, balancing on top of each other, sort of stacked in weird ways, after people haven't been in the cemetery at all, and they come back, and the caretakers will find these items in places where they weren't left before. Just sort of weird, creepy shit that child ghosts generally do, because child ghosts are the scariest. So
yeah, I agree. Just children in general are the scariest.
Children are creepy, but I can handle a corporeal child, but once you make them ghostly, I don't know. It's something about the hands, man.
Yeah, you hate tiny hands. We've discussed that. But besides that, just children are the fucking worst. For real. I hate every one of them. And yes, including all of yours out there. Fuck them. I hate your children.
He doesn't actually hate your children.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to be responsible for your children.
Exactly. It's... Years of coaching baseball made me realize I don't hate the kids. I hate the parents, and then I project that onto the kids because I have, power over them.
Yeah.
I don't, like scream at them or something. I'm just saying, like, in my mind, I think that kid fucking sucks. And then I realize that kid's 11. That kid might suck, but most of the time,
that kid's
their
fine.
parents.
That kid's parent sucks.
Yeah, they fucking suck. And trust me, if any of you are sports parents, you need to just, no matter what you're already doing, you need to back the fuck off. No matter if you're already detached enough, just back off more. Just trust me. Whatever you're doing is still way too much. Just fuck right off.
And I've been around enough to know that he's telling the truth, because a lot of those parents were garbage. But I mean, look, Mitch talks a mean game, but he is absolutely adorable with children. All kids like him, and he's really, really talented at coaching them. And they love kids. Love Mitchell.
Yeah, they do. But it's because I'm a child at heart, Leah, and it's because I will tell them, hey, just FYI, your parents fucking suck.
You've never told any kids.
I haven't, but I might.
You've wanted to on the inside.
I might. If it happens again, I might just take them off to the side and be like, don't tell anyone about this. No, I won't do any of that.
No, we don't take kids
go to
off to the side anywhere.
With a child
ever.
And whisper in their ear. Don't do that.
Nope, never.
But at the same time, yeah, I'll scream it across a room. Your parents fucking suck. Yeah.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
Everybody should know.
The problem I'm having with it is that, their parents have added me on Facebook, and they are all morons. Every one of them.
Yes.
They're so fucking stupid. In limited, capacities with these people, interactions, I'm fine with them. But then when they add me on Facebook, they add me, and again, I haven't coached in years, so I haven't had any recent additions. But it still happens that the algorithm is like, oh, you just added this person. You want to see everything they say. I'm like, no, I don't want to see them think that the election was fraudulent. I'm fine. Jesus Christ, Facebook.
It's okay. I've got that from when I used to direct a couple of things for community theater. I have parents from some of those still on my Facebook. And yeah. The community theater parents are almost as bad. Let's just leave it at that.
No, sports parents are easily the worst. 100%.
Oh, honey. You've never met that one mom of that one child. There's probably more assholes in sports parenting.
I agree with
but
you.
there is a more intense level of my child is a star
they're a
and
star,
my
right.
child is glorious, and if you don't cast my child who's 6 years old as the romantic lead of your
Oh.
musical, you're going to suffer the wrath of the
And also, my
tap
child is
dancing
not
Karen.
gay,
Yeah,
first of all.
like I said,
They probably are.
it is whew,
Yeah.
theater parents, man.
No, theater parents 100% are more crazy, but you're right. It's just the level of...
There's just more of them in sports.
I think the thing is,
yeah.
theater parents are almost definitely educated to some degree. That's the only reason they're putting their children into, the arts. So they're a little bit more...
Not necessarily.
Well, you know what I mean. They're a little bit more, let's get into the arts and let's be assertive. And then the sports parents are all just fucking dumb hicks. And they have to scream about everything. And it's like, I've been both an umpire and a coach. And I'm telling you, as both, don't fucking scream at the umpires from the stands. Don't do it. You're hurting everyone. And your child 100% watched a strike go down the middle. Get the fuck over it. There's not a doubt in my mind. God damn it, Leah. I didn't want to do this tonight. I got COVID. Everything's wrong.
With that, we can totally move on.
God damn it. It's time for the second story.
Yeah, it is. That's
Okay.
why I said we could move on.
Jesus Christ.
Are you okay?
I'm very angry now.
Do you need to let it out?
You have no idea how many Newsmax postings I've seen on Facebook recently. And all of them are from moronic parents.
It seems like you should unfriend these people.
Leah, I'm not going to be the weakling in this. I will not fold.
I went through like months ago and was just like, yeah, I don't need these people in my life. And I just cleared out most of the things that I don't want to see.
Well, look, a lot of it's just really funny. And
Yeah. There are a couple of people that are super trashy that
Yeah.
I only keep on there because I find them amusing.
yeah, it's funny. I've just, y'all have seen all those memes the past few months of like someone typing something and then it's like the good Lord comes down and goes, don't. That's happened
me
to me
every day.
I have typed something on every one of those things and gone, nope, I'm just gonna delete it.
When the Holy Spirit's like, girl,
And I don't believe in God. I don't think that's a real thing. I think it's just my common sense going, don't get into it with this fucking moron. They didn't get past 7th grade. Get over it. Can't let them get under your skirt, Leah. Not under your skirt, under your skin. Let them get under your skirt. They probably know a thing or two. Let them get under your skirt. Don't let them get under your skin. Don't let them put them claws in.
I wasn't gonna. I stay away from all of that shit. I'm a very non-confrontational person.
Oh, gross.
Passive aggression for the win. All right,
For
are you
the
ready
win.
for the second story?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Okay, so we are going to be talking about the Lady of White Rock Lake in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, we'll bring it on.
Okay, so obviously this story is one of the stories that I like to tell. There are a couple of different versions of it, and did it even happen kind of situations. We've done multiple of those before. And this particular story is one of the more well-known stories out of Texas, and it follows a story that would become a ghost story trope. And this is one of the more early, if not the earliest, recorded versions of this ghost story trope that I've found. I find it really interesting, and so I'm going to tell it. I'm going to let you know both of the versions of it, and then there's been some research done as to whether or not it has any kind of real-life correlation, and we'll talk about that later at the end. So, this is the Lady of White Rock Lake.
Oh.
Yeah, so White Rock Lake is like a park, I think, in Dallas, Texas. There's a lake, obviously, trails, etc. And the lake is home to a specter, a ghost, if you will, and she is most often reported as a woman that is soaking wet, and she's in a long white dress. Some people call it a gown, but that's sort of the lady in white, I believe, is sort of the
lady in white.
She's the sort of stereotypical ghost that people talk about. And this particular story has been circulating as early as the 1930s in a couple of different versions. So the most early published version of this story came from the Texas Folklore Society in 1943. And this is the story that this is their first version of it. And then I'll tell you a version that was recorded later, a few years later than that. So this story is that there was a couple and they were on a date late in July. It was hot. It was steamy.
Hot as a goat's ass out of peppers sauce. What was it?
Hot as a goat's ass in a pepper patch.
There it is.
Hotter than a ghost that wandered into the Pepper Palace.
Yeah.
What?
Y'all, the Pepper Palace is a hot sauce shop in Gatlinburg, and it's awesome. They make all their hot sauces. Go ahead, Leah. Forget I was talking.
So they were on a date, and they had gone to the shore of the White Rock Lake, and they had parked their car to do a little parking. And they had switched the headlights of the car on because they were done parking and they were ready to go. And they switched their headlights on, and they saw sort of a white kind of glowy figure approaching their car. And they're like, what the fuck is that? That's weird. And as the figure comes straight towards them, they realize that it was sort of the shape of a young woman, and she was dressed in a sheer white dress that was soaking wet, which sounds like with the flash, like with the high beams on and a sheer white drenched dress. I'm sure they got a show
into this. Ye old wet t-shirt contest.
Wet gown contest, I guess. But,
ooh, that would be so much better. Why isn't that a thing? Wet gown contest.
So she comes up to the driver's side. They roll the window down, and she's like, I'm sorry, guys. I generally would not bother anybody at the park, but I got to get home. I was in a boat out there, and it capsized, and everybody else is fine. Doesn't mention anything beyond they're fine. And she's like, but I got to get home. So can you like drive me home? And they were like, sure, random drenched lady. Yeah. Fine. And so the car that they had, you know, the interior, and then it had like the rumble seat. So the one that sort of flips up in the back that, the back
I had a different
seat.
Interpretation of what a rumble seat was.
Yes, you do.
I apologize.
But anyway, she climbed into the rumble seat because she said she didn't want to get the woman wet. She didn't want to get any of them wet. She just wanted to get home. So they said, okay, no problem. She climbed up behind him. It's like a flip up back seat kind of situation. So she gets back there, and she gave them an address in Oak Cliff, which was on the other side of Dallas from where they were.
That's so far.
And the couple was like, okay, sure. And they were very uncomfortable, and they felt like just this weird feeling, but they were like, hey, we're trying to help this girl. It'll be okay. We'll drop her off. We'll go home. No harm, no foul. So they get near to this destination, and they didn't want to like spend time finding this address. So they were like, hey, can you direct us to where exactly it is that you're going? So they turned back to ask her, and the rumble seat was completely empty, but the whole thing was sopping wet. And they were like, well, shit, she either bailed out of the car or we hit a pothole and she like flew out. Like there could be a second issue here. So they go back along the trail that they had driven, and they looked for this girl for a while, and they were like, well, shit, we can't find her. So what's going on? So they were like, we don't know where she's at, but we need to let the people at the address she was going to know that we've seen her. She was, you know, her boat capsized. We need them to know so that they can get more help to find her. So they go up to the house, and they tell the dude that answers the door, hey, this lady, she's coming here, boat capsized. And the dude was like, yeah, you're like the third couple who's come to me with this story. My daughter drowned on the lake sailing like 4 weeks ago. Sorry about it, but she's dead.
Terrible.
And you've been,
Was she covered in moss?
driving a ghost around moss. Why?
Or like, I guess seaweed, but from the lake. You know what I mean? Like, was she
Lakeweed?
Yeah, was she lakeweedy?
I don't think so. It doesn't mention any lakeweed. So that's the first recorded story of that particular, myth. But there is another story, and this is the one that I've heard more often. I believe it is by far the more popular of the two versions of the story. And it was recorded in 1953 in a book called Texas, The Story of the Proud Dallas Store. I don't...
What does that mean?
I have no idea. It's a Texas thing. I don't get... Oh no. I remember I blanked that. The first word of it is blank Texas, but it gives away the shot in the dark that I'm going to do later. So I'd mark that out. Anyway, it's the name of a store. But anyway,
I'm not going to remember it anyway.
Well, I know you aren't, but I'm going to give myself the best shot here. So this story says that, in fact, the man and the woman were a Mr. and Mrs. Guy Malloy, and they were the people that were in charge of the displays that were in the windows of a world-famous department store that I'm not going to name yet. And they...
Sears.
They were driving near this lake, and they, were on an outing, I guess. And all of a sudden, they see this beautiful blonde woman that is soaking wet, and she is dressed from head to toe in a gorgeous white ensemble. Like she's got a dress that was clearly very expensive. And Miss Malloy is like, hey, Mr. Malloy, stop. That girl looks like she's in trouble. She's clearly fallen into the lake. She's sopping wet, and that dress is very expensive. Pretty sure she bought it at the store that we work for, because I know everything from the store that we work for. So, let's stop. She's clearly got money. Let's help her. So shot in the dark.
Okay. Still no sound effects. I'm sorry.
What department store does the ghost in this version of the story shop at?
Okay.
Is it A, Macy's, B, Bloomingdale's, or C, Neiman Marcus?
I'm pretty sure it's Sears.
That is not an option.
Okay. I'll go with Bloomingdale's.
You're incorrect. It is Neiman Marcus. And in fact, Neiman Marcus first started and is headquartered in Dallas. So
whatever.
And it went bankrupt this year. So thanks, 2020.
I mean, all department stores have been doing that for years anyway.
Well, yeah, but Neiman Marcus is also known as needless markup because it is. They literally will just sell basic items for 3 times what it's worth just for funsies.
I've never seen a Neiman Marcus because I don't even think we have them around here.
No, they're not around here. Yeah. They're stupid expensive.
Also never seen a Macy's or a Bloomingdale's, so for that matter.
I've seen both of those. We used to have a Macy's in Huntsville, but when they tore that mall down.
Yeah. There you go.
What are you going to do?
No, in Montgomery we had Dillard's, of course.
Yeah, but that is a southern chain, though.
Right.
So.
JCPenney, a couple others that I can't really remember that, of course, are all fucking gone now. But,
We had a Parisians when I was a kid.
That's one I couldn't think of.
Yeah. It was purchased by Belk, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We don't have them anymore.
Yeah, it was the fancy store when I was a kid. If you had to go to Parisians to get your Easter dress.
That's cute. Did all my Christmas shopping at, one of those stores like that. Parisians or JCPenney or Dillard's,
But I didn't know what the word Parisians meant when I was a kid, and I couldn't pronounce it very well, and I always called it Parisians. Let's go to Parisians.
Of Paris, I believe.
Yeah. I get it now. But I was
just letting you know.
Way older than I would like to admit that I was. Anyway, I'm not kidding. It took we stored all of our Christmas decorations in an attic in like different bags, and it was like a big one of the old Parisians bag that had the snap together handles. Anyway,
right.
It took me as probably a 17-year-old getting that bag down out of the attic that was filled with Christmas decorations and looking at it and saying, Parisians. Oh, like from it took me that long to realize what that store's name actually was, but anyway,
it's very cute.
Anyway, Neiman Marcus. Bless it.
Yeah.
So apparently, this woman, like I said, and husband worked for Neiman Marcus. They see this girl. She's in a gorgeous Neiman Marcus dress. She is drenched from head to foot. She's blonde. And anyway, they stop and ask if she needs help. And the girl is, very kind, very, wealthy Dallas money kind of sounding lady. And she talked to these people and she said, yes, ma'am, please. I need help. I've fallen in the water. I've had an emergency and I just need a little bit help getting home. And she gives them an address on Gaston Avenue, which I don't know. It says it's nearby wherever this, White Lake Park is, but anyway.
Okay.
I assume it's like an expensive area of town, but I really don't know. I've never been to Dallas, but she doesn't explain to them what happened to her, what was going on, and she's a genteel lady that's soaked to death. They were trying not to ask too many questions.
All right.
So they were like, okay, no problem. We'll take you wherever you need to go. So the woman got in their back seat, slipped in the car. It was a 2-door sedan, so Miss Malloy had to get out and, lift the seat up. And the girl got in the back seat, and they started the car, and they start driving. And as they're on their way, Miss Malloy turns around to just speak with the passenger about her gown, because she's like, oh, it's beautiful, it sucks that you got it wet, but it's lovely. And the girl was not there. She was vanished. And there was a wet spot on the back seat where she had been sitting.
Gross.
Yeah. She was drenched, so.
Gross.
Anyway. So the Malloys go on to the Gaston Avenue address, and a middle-aged woman answers the door this time. And he says, hey, there's a woman, long blonde hair, Neiman Marcus dress. Mm-hmm. She was very wet and she's not here anymore. What's going on? And the lady that answered the door said, yeah, I had a daughter with long blonde hair. She shopped exclusively at Neiman Marcus. And she drowned a couple of years ago when she fell off the pier at White Rock Lake. And so that is, the second story.
Oh.
And a lot of people sort of wonder if there is an actual, did this happen, kind of verifiable proof of this story. Of anybody actually dying that you could relate the ghost stories back to. Because there have been, it's not just those two stories. Other people have claimed to have seen this same apparition of a woman, generally told to be blonde. Most of the time people say she's in a white gown, but some people say it's like a white slip or a negligee. But she's in some kind of white dress.
That you can see through.
Yeah, of some sort. And so people have done a lot of research of the folklore and have gone through and looked at, primary sources and stuff like that to see if there were any kind of incidents that happened in and or around the lake that would sort of correlate to a manifestation, I suppose. And so they obviously, with the second story, they first start seeing, are the Malloys even actual people? And yes, there was in fact people there. Guy H. Malloy and his wife Josephine were both Neiman Marcus employees in Dallas at the time that this story started going around. Mm-hmm. They both worked as window dressers for Neiman Marcus. And in fact, their daughter has said that, her parents used to tell that story that they did in fact meet this apparition and that it was all true, that it was her parents. Which, okay, fine, sure, maybe not, but it's something that the family does purport to be something that these people started or saw. So, as far as, is there a person behind the apparition that they could tie it to? Well, there are two different tragic events that happened that a lot of people tie back to with this particular story.
Okay.
So one of them is on Friday, July the 5th of 1935, there was a woman named Mrs. Frank Doyle, and she found a suicide note left by her sister, whose name is Louise Ford Davis. And she saw this note and alerted police immediately, and they sent all of their squad cars to the White Rock Lake, hoping to prevent her from committing suicide. And the detective ended up finding the body pretty shortly after they arrived. They found her floating in the water, and she had drowned. And it was actually estimated that she was only in the lake about 5 minutes dead when they showed up and dragged her to shore. So it was they quickly found her, but it obviously she had already drowned by the time they got there. So if they had been a few minutes sooner with getting there, it's possible they could have saved her, but they did not. She was wearing white clothes. She had a pair of white gloves in the car. But other than that, there isn't a lot of detail as to how she killed herself, but drowning is what most people assume. So that is one particular thought as to who this apparition could have been. But she did, like I said, and it was from the time period where these stories first started making their rounds in the 30s. And then there's another one that less people believe just because it's a little bit later, but it's also something that a lot of people say, hey, this could be causing this particular apparition.
Okay.
So on November the 24th of 1942, there was a woman named Rose Stone. She was 35 years old from Mansfield, Texas, and she also committed suicide by drowning herself in the lake. But she was dressed in a sweater and a skirt, and she was found in 8 feet of water near the municipal boathouse by a city fireman. And she had a note pinned to her sweater that just said, tell my relatives in Fort Worth that I died. And that was it. So, like I said, there have been 2 female suicides in the lake, that it's possible, that they could link back to this particular paranormal apparition. Or it could be just one of those urban legend ghost stories that people like to pass around, and then they've attached these people to it later on. Who knows? But I really enjoy the folklore, and I really like that. I mean, I've heard that ghost story trope in a bunch of different places and different areas, but this is, the whole whoever you picked up ghost wise is not there anymore,
right,
that trope. I've seen that over and over, and then you go to the house and they tell you they're dead or whatever, but this is one of the more early versions of this story that I can find recorded. So I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. And like I said, people still report to this day to seeing this particular apparition in and around that area. So, yeah, I think it's a fun little piece of folklore from Texas.
I enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
My love. Mostly the see-through garments.
Because you are a creep.
Yeah, I really am. No one should be listening to this show. Ever. Because I kind of suck.
It's okay. We still love you.
Who?
Me, specifically.
Yeah. Don't speak for other people. You call them your fucking ass. Leah. Oh, God. Still coughing.
I'm sorry.
Well, is that it for the second story?
Yeah, that's everything.
Well, how about we get a toast then?
Okay, everybody hoist your growler that you can't open with your thumbs
there you go.
High into the sky. All right, let's do a toast. If to illness and death I must eventually succumb, please please submerge this mortal coil in a giant barrel of rum.
Oh.
That's hard to say. Anyway, if you offer the lady a seat in your car, just put a towel down. You'll only see a soggy seat if you dare to turn around.
Oh, God.
Drink.
Ugh. I just had a real funny thought.
What?
Woke myself up with a real soggy seat.
It's because you're gross.
About a week and a half ago.
Ew.
Yeah, that was gross. I shouldn't have said that. It's funny, though.
Gross, gross, gross.
It's funny. I made it funny. Oh, I can't stop coughing. God damn it. Well, I don't have much else to say.
No, and if we're down energy, we super apologize. Like I said, this is our first episode after a
And
kind of a shit
we're not
show
exactly
here.
healthy.
No, we're not. So we're gonna get better and
I make no guarantees to get
hopefully get a more enthusiastic episode out next week.
I make no guarantees to get better. None.
We're
I make
trying,
no
though.
guarantees about my enthusiasm. I don't believe that anyone is entitled to my enthusiasm, Leah. Not even you.
I'm well aware of that fact,
Yeah.
good sir.
Yeah. We've spent 3 weeks locked in the house together. And, yeah, it's not exactly enthusiasm fuel to be around the same person 24 hours a day.
It's okay. The dogs are pretty thrilled that there's more than just me here all the time.
Yeah, the dogs and the cat are super happy that we have not left the house at all. We've gone to get groceries, like 5-minute trips. Had groceries brought out to us.
Yeah, they stick it in your car, no contact. It's pretty great.
That's been awesome. But besides that, it's been this house.
Yep.
I've played so many video games. And, we've been around each other constantly. And God damn it, it's been wonderful. Fooled you. You thought I was going to be upset about it. I'm real happy about it, Leah. How excited are you for me to go back to work next week?
Pretty damn excited.
As long as I get a negative test.
So excited.
To go back to work. Yeah. Really, you have just been dragging the whole energy of the house down. Like, you should do something else.
You should probably go to work. I don't know.
Listen, everybody, we thank you for listening. And you should follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check out Leah's YouTube channel, Craftpocalypse, for some minis and some other fun stories. Don't get COVID.
Please don't get COVID.
That's a bad idea. Like I said, we were lucky. Things weren't bad for us, but they also weren't great. So, try to stay away from it, I guess. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast, and, give us beer money, or moonshine money, more like. Spent a lot of money on moonshine, y'all. It was great. I think that's it, Leah.
Yep.
Wait, postcards. Haven't done this in a real long time, y'all. Send us postcards, P.O. Box 1743 in Hartselle, Alabama, 35640. And that's it. I think that's it now.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
That's everything.
All right, we'll be back on our A game next week.
No promises.
As long as we're not sick. See you then.
Bye, y'all.